Have you ever had a conversation about race with a child?
Yeah, that's some funny ones. I think I've told you this before.
Yeah.
The first time I met my husband is white, and the first time I met my nephew, I was with him for hours and we were playing and it was fine. And then he just turned around to me and went, "You're black like Stormzy." And that just absolutely cracked me up, because following that conversation was like, it was only like 3, bless him. Oh. Just like, yes, I am, but not quite like Stormzy, but yes, I am. But yeah, I've had some difficult ones as well. I've had my niece, because my half brothers, well, they are my brothers, but their half brothers are white, and my niece just didn't understand how I could be related to them but not be white. But again, they were very, very young. But for me at the time, for them it was fine, and it was a light-hearted conversation and it was very simply explained. But for me it just felt like I felt othered in that conversation, and it did hurt. I think I remember feeling quite hurt by it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had sort of brief, subtle conversations with my daughter on, I suppose, just their awareness. In particular, you know, at school when you know, she's come home and said that friends have a nickname for her, which was Pom Pom or something along those lines, because of her hair. Fluffball, actually, I think that was it. And so it's just having to remind her that, you know, although that's innocent, and obviously, you know, that from a child's eyes, they're not meaning anything, you know, malicious by it, but it's just that understanding that actually that's something that is quite unique to her and her race and her background, and that actually it's really something that has to be, you know, embraced. And that's something that I've tried to instill quite often, that, you know, even down to us, you know, wanting to, because she's going to experience and look for, you know, maybe straightening her hair and looking at, you know, other girls that may have straighter hair, but embracing that actually your hair is beautiful and, you know, never changing, you know, you stay the way you are and, you know, embrace who you are. So it's things like that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Our niece, she's mixed race. She goes to a Catholic school and all her friends are white. So she's, I don't know if you know, she's got this obsession with trying to straighten her hair. And we're trying to instill with her that her natural hair is beautiful. And I love it when she's, you know, when she hasn't straightened, it's all, you know, all the curls are wild and she looks beautiful. But yeah, I think she feels pressured because of the fact she has these white friends who all have GHDs and straighten their hair, and she feels pressured to do that. So yeah, we're trying
you just want to be the same at that age,
which is fine, because you do that in school. I think everybody conforms to some degree to whatever people find, you know, whatever's popular,
things like that.
But I think trying to instill in our children that who they are, you know, is wonderful and it's beautiful. I think that's an important thing. And my children, obviously my elder sister is mixed race. She's got 2 daughters who are mixed race, and so we've had the conversations with my children that we, you know, our family might differ from somebody else's, but that's fine, you know. And it's actually more interesting having the family that I've got, and they're well aware of, and I think it's important that they know the difference as well, that they understand, you know, race and what that means.
Yeah, I think it's good to be upfront and honest with children. I think we can shy away and think, oh, maybe they're too young to understand and what have you. But I think I missed that because I grew up in a white household. My brothers and my mum were white, and I did have a relationship with my dad, but I saw him like weekly, so I didn't have I wasn't immersed in the black side of my family as much as I think I would have liked and would have benefited from. So to hear you having those conversations with your daughter is so lovely, because as much as my mum was like, your hair's lovely and it's amazing and keep it curly, I was like, well, I'm looking at you and you look one way. I'm looking at my peers and they look one way, and it's just me, and I just want to feel the same and accept it.
I had a similar experience growing up. My mum's white and don't have any contact with the black side of my family, so I didn't actually realise that I was any different till I was othered, you know, in school. So it's taken me quite a long time to sort of connect with that side of my heritage, and I've made a conscious effort with my children, because their dad's white as well, so to try and have more black history, more awareness, embracing curls, you know, and my children all look very different. So I have children with afros, I have children with straight hair, and you know, we try and talk about it as much as possible and celebrate. So we're like really excited to watch Wakanda Forever when that comes out. You know, we just try and immerse ourselves as much as we can with that family disconnect. Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, and it's difficult as well, isn't it? Because when I think back, you know, I don't know for yourself, Tabitha, but when I think back on my own experience as well, and being a child that grew up in a predominantly working class white background, and even just little things as being in school. My father wasn't around that much as a child, and just being in school or being in the, you know, being out in the neighbourhood, walking around with your parents and not actually, you know, seeing any, you know, black representation at all, and then being in school and getting asked those questions from another child, you know, why is your, you know, why are you brown, why is your mum not, and you know, and to a point I can remember literally it affected me that much that I used to go to the toilet and literally scrape my skin to see if there was white under, or try and convince, because the palm of my hands are white, that I am also white. So
it's tricky, isn't it? Because my children are mixed race, and we still have, you know, they have a good relationship with the black side of the family. And I remember when they were quite young, my daughter's fairer than my son, and I remember my daughter having a conversation with the grandma, Mama would call her, saying, I'm white like mummy, and Kobe's black like daddy, and Mama said, no, you're black. You know, she said it's important that she understands at a young age who she is, and I think, you know, going back to the hair, understanding that, you know, she has got her curly hair and how she looks after it, you know, we sort of had to hide the straighteners from grandma, because we knew that would not be grandma would not be happy, you know, and obviously making sure the products were on it. So I was quite fortunate that way, that I had that knowledge and that experience from quite
strong on that as well.
I think it's important to have the conversation with children, because when we were growing up, me and my dad met my mum whilst she was pregnant with my sister. This is the story I've got, it might differ, and when my sister was born, my dad brought my sister up as his daughter, so technically we had the same mum and dad. Biologically we didn't, and this was never explained to us as kids, which is fine because we were kids, but we had to have that conversation between us. And I remember exactly where I was. We was in the cinema, I think we was about to watch Titanic. And I remember turning to my sister and said, are you my real sister? And she said, yeah, we've just got different dads. She'd worked that out by herself. This was never a conversation that was had with her and my mum. And I think that did drive a bit of a wedge between them.
Yeah, it can isolate them.
Because that's the person you're supposed to be able to open up to, and that's the person you should trust. And for her to not be told that by my mum.
It's difficult though, just on that, and probably going back to yourself as well, Nick, and, you know, because I'm probably the counsellor in me, but it's that empathy as well towards parents that are bringing up child from, you know, a mixed background, because it's like, you know, understanding things about, like, for instance, putting products in hair and things. My you know, my mum was good, to be fair, more so with my brother. She used to plait his hair and things like that, but in terms of like the right products and other things, and
just like
just general
skin as well.
Exactly.
Again, that's another
I was
thing
always at dry knees as a child.
You've got ashy skin, put the cream on, you've got ashy skin, you can go in there thinking, oh, better put the cream on and I'm going to get in trouble.
Do you know, actually, just on that, there's a really funny story. I must have been, it was as my sister was just born, I remember, and actually my sister's white, and we'd been left with a neighbour when I was young, because my mum was in labour, and I finished school, getting a bath, and was getting ready to go to see my sister, and a friend who was looking after her had come in as I was in the bath, trying to sort of hurry me up, and my knees was like pasty chalky white, and she said to me, make sure you wash your knees. That's the colour of my knees. So it's like it's just education, knowledge. It is. You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
She wouldn't know.
I went to adults last week. A friend was there. You need some cream on your skin. Looks ashy. A friend just started laughing. What do you mean? I said, look, her skin's dry. She needs to put cream on. But yes.
But the knowledge is out there.
Yeah.
You know, to find out.
It's easier now.
It's easier now.
I was a kid back in them days, but how difficult would it have been?
So I'm from Barnsley, and I was the only non-white, apart from I think 2 Asian girls in my school. There was certain areas of Barnsley where more people from the West Indies came, but I'm talking no black people. So I think it's different round here.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there.
Yeah.
You go. I was just going to say, I feel like it still doesn't help that you have a lot of beauty magazines and things like that are still tailored to white person's skin and white women's hair. So you have to kind of actually go out and seek the knowledge rather than it just being there the way it is for someone like me.
Yeah, it's very Eurocentric. But even little things like going to a hotel, like the shampoo, you can't wash your hair with that shampoo. Strip everything out. It's not, there's no conditioner. Going swimming, for example, when I was a kid, I would not go swimming at school. I'd make all sorts of excuses because you go and your hair's just all matted and it's just like, no, I'm trying to get a cap over your curls. It's just not happening.
They've actually just licensed the Afro swimming cap, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which sounds amazing.
Yeah, really good.
To be used.
In Manchester, we moved recently in a home to a new place, and my son went out with his other brother and his dad to try and get a haircut, and there were like 3 barbers down the road. And I was so sure they were going to go. I just said to them, there will be like 3. I've seen like 3 barbers down the road. So I'm sure one of them would be open. 3 of them were open, but they came back without a haircut. And my son was fuming. My older son was fuming. And he was like, Mom, they won't give me a haircut. And I said, why? He said, because he just turned around and said, we don't do Afro hair.
Yeah. I've been turned away a lot.
I've had to sit him down and explain that. He said, no, I don't get your explanation, because he was using clippers. So he could have clipped my hair, Mom. There's no reason why, I don't see, because they're not. I looked at what he was holding and it was the same clipper.
Yeah.
So I said to him, well, we'll have to just go and find where they do Afro hair, or check the other, 2 other barbers. He said, we checked the other 2 as well. They don't do Afro hair. So, you get on the bus and go to they've had to get on the bus and go like 20-30 minutes away to get his hair done.
So that's being othered on a regular basis.
And you'll have to do that on a regular basis. And it's, kind of also trying to explain, when you've got friends and you fall out with friends and they would call you names. I've said to my son, they will call you names. So it doesn't matter which name they call you. If they call you fat lips, that's the common one. And he says, Mom, that I think that's racist. And he's using the words as in, Mom, that's racist. And I'm saying to him, yes, okay, the choice of, lashing back is racist. But they're not they just want to say things to you that they think will hurt. So if you were short, forget the color, they will still say, you're short. So it's just your friend's way of getting back at you, but because they're upset with you, you're in a quarrel and they're looking for what to say that hurts. It doesn't mean they're doing that specifically because of your color. They're just choosing something that has to do with your color,
So it's like the
just so that he knows that the aggression could be anything. Whether he was tall, short, green, blue, it is the process of that anger. They're just choosing one thing. And I think it's important that sometimes the kids understand that you're not any different. You're one and the same. It doesn't matter what color is on their skin. Because I've had to go in and say to his head teacher, these are all his friends. They spend so much time in my house. He spends so much time in their house. And when they do play, I see the love. they are connected because they're kids. They don't see all that. So they are, and they're bound to fall out. So it's just them being taught, when you do fall out, choose a more appropriate word, really. But they do. So it's for kids to understand from that age that you're not different. And I think that has helped my son a lot because he's just started a new school, and he called me up and said, "Oh Mom, this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend." And I was in his room. There are like 6 of them. 4 of them are black, 2 of them are white. Guess where who my son's friends are? Naturally galvanized himself to the 2 white boys. He has no white relation. He's completely a black boy, but he knows, it's within him that he doesn't see the difference.
And
so I think it's important that they understand from childhood that it's just some things, the difference are there. It's good to talk about it, but there are some things that are just things that happen naturally. Whether you're white or black, you will fall out with your friends. They will call you horrible names, but it's just the choice. It's just when they pick a choice of words, we can begin to think, oh, this is the reason why. And it's because the kids see the difference naturally, but it's for them to understand that that difference really isn't there. It's
the intent in the words that
but
you use.
We are all the same, really. So if we believe we are all the same, we truly are. It's just what we, how we translate, our experiences, kind of.
And I think race issues are not really discussed in schools.
That's why I had to go see his teacher and say to him, these boys are constantly in my house. But, it is really saying to the head teacher, you need to go into class. This needs to be spoken about. Because unless you make them know that they're the same, then it's a waste of time, really, talking about this whole thing.
I have friends to this day that used to call me racial names, not even just like when we fell out, but just like as like terms of endearment almost. And I think because I was so desperate to fit in, I, like, as much as it hurt, I just allowed it. And we're still friends now, but we've had that conversation as adults and they've apologised and we've been able to heal and like move on. So as much as you can have the ignorance of children and it can still hurt, you can also mend from that later on and still continue friendship.
I think just on that, the only issue I have is if people are making racist comments, as if it's not challenged. You hear these sayings, don't you? Oh, well, I've got a black friend and he never mind when I said that. And it's like, okay, but maybe they felt uncomfortable challenging it. Maybe they just felt there's no point trying to have that discussion with you because you don't understand what I'm talking about. So I do feel strongly that it should be challenged. Otherwise, people don't know. They don't learn. I mean, I've gone to some places and people still go, oh, you're half caste. I'm just like, whoa, you can't say that's racist. And it explains the historical connotations with that term. Ask a person how they identify. They might identify as being black, they might identify as being mixed race. Don't just use terminology, especially really outdated terminology. And I wonder if it's because they've not been challenged with that growing up. They thought, well, that's fine because no one's ever said that's not appropriate. So and
I've always heard a lot that the people who are of a certain age, elderly, they get a pass because they've been set in the ways for so long that I don't agree with that.
You can always learn, like.
Of course you can. You're never too old to learn.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.